ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Thank you for joining us again on the CoreTV News Hour. I am Frank Omalape. Reports reaching us say the World Health Organization has officially declared Nigeria free of Ebola after 6 weeks with no new cases. Africa's most populous country won praises for its swift response after an infected Liberian diplomat brought the disease here in July. The global health body had last week signified its intention to officially declare Nigeria Ebola-free today, following the absence of new Ebola cases in the country after the requisite 42 days of active surveillance. The WHO officially declared Senegal Ebola-free on Friday. The outbreak has killed more than 4,500 people in West Africa, mostly in Liberia, Guinea, and Sierra Leone. A non-governmental organization, Save Adamawa Communities from Terror, says it doubts the ceasefire agreement the federal government claims it has with Boko Haram. The group expressed concern that it may be a plot by the insurgents to re-strategize. It warned in a statement issued in Kaduna that having suffered heavy casualties in recent times, the insurgents group may want to use the ceasefires to stockpile arms for more deadly attacks. The group also raised the alarm over the invasion and destruction of 9 villages in Hong local government area of Adamawa State. It believes that the solution to ending the siege on Adamawa villages may lie in allowing individuals to arm themselves with a view to protecting their communities. And now the ceasefire deal between the federal government and Boko Haram has been generating reactions from Nigerians due to the recent attacks in Borno State. Speaking on our flagship program called Digest, public affairs analyst Olabode Hussaini says the Nigerian military should be more organized with a view of finding a lasting solution to the Boko Haram insurgents despite the ceasefire deal.
It is clear that we have problems on our hands, you know, and we need to deal with it squarely. We need to do it even very swiftly because, like I said, it's taking 6 months late. So whatever we are doing now, we need to get it right. We cannot afford to have organized or arranged for a ceasefire and then we are getting this kind of results. A layman will say, well, that means the vehicle, the car, the thing has not been properly fixed. So a negotiation of this magnitude must be well organized, must be well represented, it must be well done in such a way that truce will be truce. In most of the wars of this world, when you call for truce, the truce usually is obeyed and respected. So, very rare situation you had that truce is now broken and fight want to continue. Yes, if at the end of the day, the final draft, the final arrangement is not agreed on certain logistic or issues, there might be war again. But where we are now, we can't afford to do that. And that's why I say I'm using this opportunity to applaud. I'm very happy that the government has done so much and they are doing so much to make sure that the issue of this, our girls that have been in captivity for so many months are going to be brought to an end. And at the same time, use the same opportunity to find solution, a lasting solution to the problem of Boko Haram.
President Goodluck Jonathan last night met with state governors elected on the platform of the People's Democratic Party in Abuja. The meeting which held at the First Lady's conference room was held behind closed doors and ended early on Monday morning. Journalists were barred from the venue of the meeting on the ground that it was a private section, but there were indications that the 2015 election was on top of the agenda. Governors who were seen going into the meeting included the chairman of the PDP Governors Forum, Godswill Akpabio of Akwa Ibom State, and his counterpart from 14 states. Deputy governors of Kogi and Nasarawa states were also in attendance. Now, Governor Babatunde Fashola says the federal government is giving wrong information about the debt profile of the state, challenging the federal government to give the true situation of things with the Federation account. Fashola made this known while speaking at the 2,700-day celebration of his administration in office. Our correspondent Abiola Luwale was there, and his report is presented from our studios. Every 100 days, Governor Babatunde Fashola addresses residents on developments in the state. Undaunted by the rains, residents troop out to listen to their governor for the 27th time. Speaking on the 160 billion naira debt profile of the state, Fashola says such loans are used for developmental projects.
Our political advisors have issued statements that we have borrowed 160 billion. What they have not told you is what we are doing with the money. In the last 100 days, we commenced work on providing street lighting on Murtala Muhammad Way in Yaba. This is 10 kilometers of public lighting, which will be completed by the end of this month. On Eko Bridge, Kata Bridge, Ikorodu Road, Lekki Ekpe Expressway, and every street and highway where there is street lighting in Lagos today, it is the Lagos state government that supplied the poles, the bulbs, and the diesels that keeps those lights running.
He, however, challenged the federal government to render account for the 2.3 trillion naira unappropriated funds spent on fuel subsidy, which he says is responsible for states being unable to access enough funds through the Federation account.
And if they still ask you about debt, ask them to account for over 2.3 trillion naira spent on fuel importation without appropriation. And also ask them to explain what happened to $20 billion. Because if these huge amounts were made available to the Federation account for the states and local governments, clearly things will be different in our country.
The forum also served as a platform for Fashola to respond to questions from residents on policies of the state government. Religious leaders across Ekiti State have urged the new governor, Ayodele Fashola, to run an all-inclusive government devoid of bad blood and vengeance, as God has given him a rare opportunity of a second chance in his life. The chief imam of Ado-Ekiti and representative of Pastor William Komoyi of the Deeper Life Bible Church, speaking at the Thanksgiving service of Ayodele on Friday and Sunday, described the second coming of the governor as a rare opportunity, thus making him to forego the past and run a government that doesn't create enmity. Ayofayoshe, who rolled on the floor in a show of appreciation to God for his victory, promised to do as admonished by the religious leaders, while he also ordained himself as an apostle of stomach infrastructure. Thanksgiving held at Ado-Ekiti Central Mosque and the Deeper Life Bible Church campground in Ado-Ekiti attracted dignitaries from the political class and traditional institution. You're watching CoreTV News on the hour. We'll take a break. We'll be back shortly. Join us again.
Glad to have you join us on another edition of The Political Arena, the most detailed and incisive political show.
If you are a sitting governor and the opposition is able to stomach structure against you,
that means you are wicked to the people. Give me 20 minutes to move or they will shoot me.
He has no chance for survival. If he likes himself, this is the best time to get out before he perishes.
The PDP as a ruling party has failed.
So anybody who thinks that government will fold his hands and allow miscreants to take over the streets of our own state and cause havoc is deceiving himself.
The good, bad, ugly and beautiful sides of the Nigerian political system. Join me every Sunday at 9:15 p.m. on CoreTV News.
For more information on news and other programs, visit our Facebook. It's facebook.com/CoreTV News. And our Twitter handle at CoreTV News NG. And visit our YouTube. It's www.youtube.com/CoreTV. Leave a space, then news. President Goodluck Jonathan wants Nigerians to emulate the example laid down by former head of state Yakubu Gowon after the Civil War. He argued that the general did not stop with his reconstruction efforts after the war, but also went on to support all successive administrations. Jonathan was speaking at the 80th birthday Thanksgiving service in honor of Gowon in Abuja.
If the people repent and sincerely do so, God is merciful. God will forgive. God will restore a nation, beginning from the priests to the kings, the political leaders, to the people. Talk to them and show fruit of repentance and show that we have truly, genuinely repented. Let us forgive one another. Let us not look the other side on the children of the poor. Let us not take what is not ours. And Joel warns because of three things, and I will close. Number one, God has never, throughout the scriptures, God will never punish the righteous. God doesn't do that. But secondly, God will always punish, or God will always judge and punish the wicked.
Since I'm here in person, let me formally congratulate General Yakubu Gowon. Happy birthday, sir. And one thing that marked Gowon very clearly is that he was the head of state then, but he was totally committed the issue of keeping Nigeria together. And that's why even after leaving after dropping the gun, he picked up even a stronger to keep this country together. Immediately he left as a military head of state, he picked the most formidable instrument of war, and he comes up with the Nigeria praise. And with that, he continued, that his commitment to keep Nigeria one. Now, how can I honestly respond to the beautiful things that are said about me by Mr. President, by all the speakers, the preachers, and Father Matthew Kuka, that I've always thought he was under 25. But since I first met him some years ago in the 1990s, really, all the prayers that have been said for me, for my family, all the encomiums that had been showered on me, I honestly, sincerely feel very humble, but gratitude to God, to Almighty God.
The Otolo community in Aniocha South local government area of Delta State has called on the state government to intervene to save the community from the alleged incessant attacks by Fulani herdsmen in the area. The community chief Paul Ebojis made his call in an interview with the newsmen in the area. Eboji says the people now live in fear due to the rampant attacks of the herdsmen. Eboji posited that government's intervention is necessary because the community is peace-loving and will not want to be dragged into clashes with herdsmen that could take lives. He alleged that Fulani herdsmen have turned their farmlands into grazing ground for their cattle. The community chief says challenging the herdsmen has led to attacks on members of the community, with several also maimed in the process, calling on the state government to intervene to prevent a major crisis. The kidnapping of a former president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Okewale, has continued to generate reactions. A former chairman of the Ikeja branch of the association, Monday Obani, and the legal-based legal practitioner, Chukwuemeka Eze, both condemned the incident, describing it as an indicative of the sad state of insecurity in the country. They, however, called for his immediate and unconditional release, while also admonishing the government to do more on the issue of insecurity in Nigeria.
But the kidnap is very condemnable, it's highly reprehensible, and it's very scary for some of us. And that, again, tells us the state of our insecurity. I traveled recently to East, and I've actually saw every big man, every big woman with security apparatus, with policemen and vehicle following them. It then means that if you don't have any money to have your own personal arrangement of security force protecting you, you're on your own. You can easily be kidnapped. You can easily be abducted. So the state of insecurity in this country is very alarming.
The kidnap signposts the continuation of the black chapter in the book of political history of Nigeria. That in 2014, Nigeria is not known as a country that will make a lot of difference in the world.
A 400-level student of Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, has dragged the school authorities before the Federal High Court sitting in Osogbo, Osun State for unlawful rustication and defamation of character. The rustication, which was a fallout of the June 18 protests by the student union over the increment in school fees and poor welfare on the campus of the institution. Our correspondent Rashid, who was in court, has more on this story.
After the protest by the student union and student activists of the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, on the 18th of June, some of the participants never knew what hit them, with the management of the institution wielding the big stick by rusticating leaders of the protest. The decision, which did not go down well with the affected students, has led to a court action by the students before the Federal High Court in Osogbo to enforce their fundamental human rights.
Now, we still clamor in addition to the reinstatement of all the 8 students that were suspended, in addition to 1 student that was equally suspended in 2011 struggle. We clamor immediately for their reinstatement, and also we still maintain our ground that the fee increment remains unjustified. Even upon reinstatement, we will continue to fight the struggle. Our cudgels of struggle will be raised towards and against oppression of the vast majority. So the intent is that the management at this point in time must make sure that they withdraw all of those allegations against all the 8 suspended student activists, number 1, and number 2, must immediately review and revisit the fee hike. So evidence has shown that it had never, we are not having better welfare on campus as against the lies, the bunch of lies that were spread to the vast majority of Nigeria.
The leadership of the students' union also backed the students, revealing this through Amos Bikunle and the petitioner, Sanyaudu Olajuwon.
Now, why we are in court is because of the political victimization of our students. Yes, we are telling the whole world what is happening to us in Ife. The students, the student union leaders, the student activists, we are under attack. And as it stands, we cannot continue this way. And now, we are also talking about a statement struggle.
Our problem actually was not because of the fact that the fee was even increased by 5 naira. Even if our school fees was 1 naira and it was increased to 1 naira 50 kobo, we will still fight. And this is because we believe that, the only way we can get better academic welfare on campus has always been through proper and adequate funding of education. And if you decide to draw the graph of, the education growth in Nigeria, you discover that it is reducing from the 1970s, 1980s, 1990s, and now in the 21st century, it is decreasing by the year. So what does that tells you, if you look at the pre-1970, you discover that education was much more better in those periods, which was, clouded with proper funding of education. But as government begins to reduce the funding of education, and their respective agents, who are the monsters in our university, I call the vice chancellor, they implement those principles by increment in fees. So instead of that increment in fees to an average person, you think that you will get better education welfare, but things are getting much more worse by the day.
The school's management, speaking through the Defense Council, however, says the decision is justified, an assertion countered by the council to the plaintiff.
I'm just going to look at the case file. The matter is for mention this morning. I'm still studying the case file. So you will discover that we have not filed anything in defense. So we are here just for mention. So we are still studying the file. That's all I can say.
Our prayers are for his studentship to be reinstated, for him to have all the rights accruable to a student on campus, writing exams, passing exams, graduating, and being attractive to the labor market. His rights under the Constitution are protected, and by being an activist, by asking for what is right, he should not be humiliated. We all went to school. Even the oppressors of today used to be oppressed, but they were not oppressed as they are oppressing people today. We knew then how much we were paying as fees. Though economic realities of today might be asking for more, but it shouldn't be the one that will guillotine students, that will deprive the students the right to education. Because if we are not have money to pay, so much as they are asking in schools, you will not be able to go to school. And an ignorant society is a dead society.
Ruling on the matter has been reserved till the 3rd of November 2014. Rashid, CoreTV News, Oshogbo.
You're still watching CoreTV News Hour. We'll take another break now. I'll be back shortly with more stories in sport and more. Stay with us.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website, www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime News.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then News. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
And in sports now, Kaduna State Governor Mokhtar Yero of Kaduna State has assured polo enthusiasts of adequate security for the duration of the forthcoming annual tournament. Speaking during the check presentation at the Amadou Yakubu Polo Ground, Murtala Square, Kaduna, Governor Yero, who was represented by the Commissioner for Sports and Youth Development, Bashir Zebero, said the state government will render all necessary assistance required to make the tournament a success. President Kaduna Polo Club Alhaji Shehu Mozo expressed appreciation to the Kaduna State government for approving a second polo ground for the club and for building a stable for the club. Tournament manager Ibrahim Abba said the 2014 tournament will be used to commemorate Nigeria's centenary celebration, adding that polo players are expected from within and outside the country. Thousands of face mask-wearing runners have taken part in the 34th Beijing International Marathon. The organizers had earlier warned runners to expect slight or moderate smoke, but the U.S. Embassy in Beijing said air quality was hazardous, with one resident saying that the air smelled like burnt coal. Though the WHO says daily pollution levels should not exceed average of 25 micrograms per cubic meter of fine particulate matter. Estimates say the levels were higher. The U.S. Embassy, which was monitoring the levels at one point, reported that peak of up to 400 micrograms per cubic meter, which it says will be hazardous if a human was exposed to it over a 24-hour period. Some of the athletes say the race should have been cancelled because of the pollution, with British runner Charles Pope tweeting that he was only able to do 10 kilometers of the race in a mask before he had to pull out. He added that the race should not have gone ahead because the air quality was not suitable for outdoor activities. The race was, however, won in both the male and female categories by Ethiopians Gimer Berano and Fatuma Sadodego. Outside Nigeria now, Liberian President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf says the whole world has a whole stake in the fight against Ebola. She said the disease respects no borders and that every country had to do all it could to help fight it. President Johnson Sirleaf added that a generation of Africans were at risk of being lost to economic catastrophe. The Ebola outbreak has killed more than 4,500 people across West Africa, including 2,200 in Liberia. International donations have so far fallen well short of the amounts requested by a UN agency and aid organizations. In the most war-affected countries are Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. About 9,000 people have been found to have the Ebola virus, which kills an estimated 70% of those infected. She goes on to say that the fight against Ebola requires a commitment for every nation that has the capacity to help, whether that is with emergency funds, medical supplies, or clinical expertise. Well, and that's a wrap on CoreTV News at this time. And thanks for watching. I am Frank Omalape. I'll see you again.